Hello and greeting to our lecturer, Madam Adibah binti Muhammad Noor, and my friends. In this video, our group will present thin layer chromatography under planar chromatography for the CHM256 presentation. The content of this video is group member names, an introduction, stationary and mobile phase, methodology, and experiment of TLC and references. My name is MARYEN ANAK, and the member of my group are NADHIRAH binti SALLEHUDDIN, Safirah binti NIPORSEE, and SITI SURAYA binti BAKRI. So, without wasting our time, I will go on to the following slide.
Okay, for introduction, chromatography is a technique in which the components of mixture are separated based on difference in the rate at which they are carried through a fixed or stationary phase by gaseous or liquid phase. Okay, it is widely used for the separation, identification, and determination of the chemical components in a complex mixture. Okay, varying parts of the mixture separate from one another because of the different speed at which they move through the stationary phase. Which chemicals move more swiftly or slowly and how they are separated depends on the characteristic of the particular mobile and stationary phase. Retention times refer to this varies travel time. Okay, which means that if the retention time are higher, so the components will elute later. If the components are elute first, which means that retention times are short. Okay, there are two types of chromatography, which are column chromatography and planar chromatography. Planar chromatography include paper chromatography and TLC. Okay, for first, we'll explain about paper chromatography. Techniques that used for paper chromatography is they use paper chromatography to separate a sample mixture into its individual components. The paper hang up ends dips into a solvent at the bottom of the paper stripes. Okay, for the stationary phase for the paper chromatography, which is a liquid phase, and mobile phase was a solvent, also in a liquid phase. The types of separation for paper chromatography is partition chromatography, liquid by liquid. Okay, which I will explain further for the example experiment that will explain it detail later. Okay, so concept in paper chromatography is a non-polar compound is weakly held or retained towards stationary phase. Travel further with mobile phase, thus the component will elute first. Okay, more polar compounds is strongly held or retained towards stationary phase. Travel slower with mobile phase, then the component will elute later. Okay, next is TLC, which means thin layer chromatography. Okay, the technique that used in TLC is a separation of mixture occur on thin layer of adsorbent, which are silica or alumina, which attach or coat to an inert support, usually a glass plate. Okay, the stationary for TLC is solid phase, while the mobile phase are in a liquid phase. Okay, the types of separation of this TLC are adsorption chromatography, which solid by liquid. Okay, concept in TLC is as a solvent rise up through the silica gel on a plate, it dissolves the sample mixture and travel up the plate. Okay, non-polar compound is weakly held to stationary phase, which are silica TLC plate, move faster with mobile phase, so it will travel further, thus it will elute first. Okay, more polar compound is strongly held to stationary phase, it will move slowly with mobile phase, so it will elute later. Okay, next is column chromatography. The technique that used in column chromatography is the separation of mixture on stationary phase that held in a narrow tube, where mobile phase is forced through the tube under the pressure of gravity. The stationary phase for column chromatography is in the solid phase, and mobile phase are in a liquid phase. Okay, the type separation for this column chromatography is column chromatography, which means solid by solid. Okay, concept in column chromatography, which are the individual components are retained by stationary phase differently and separated from each other while running at different speed through the column with mobile phase. They elute one at a time, like one by one it will elute lah.
In this slide, I will briefly about the principle of chromatography. Chromatography is a method of separation in which the analyte is mixed with a liquid and gaseous mobile phase that is pushed through a stationary phase. One phase is usually hydrophilic, whereas the other is lipophilic. The analyte components interact differentially with these two phases. They spend more or less time interacting with the stationary phase depending on their polarity and are consequently retarded to varying degree. This results in the separation of the various components present in sample. Each sample component elute from the stationary phase at a different period, which is referred to as the retention of time. The component signals are captured and displayed in the form of chromatogram as they travel past the detector.
Next, I will present about the methodology for paper chromatography. First, sample and standard are dissolved in a volatile solvent. The sample and standard is spotted using the capillary tube on the line drawn on the PC. Next, the spot is about 1 cm above the surface of the solvent to prevent the component from dissolving in solvent. Dry the first spot before spot again for the second time. Make sure the spot is less than 5 mm of diameter. After finish spotting, let all spots dry first before dip into development solvent. The paper is placed vertically and not touch the side of the beaker. Development chamber should be closed to ensure it is saturated with the solvent vapor. Saturation of development solvent will ensure the spot move upward smoothly by capillary action. The development solvent will carry the various spots upward at different rate until the solvent front is 3/4 of the PC. Remove the chromatogram from beaker and immediately mark the solvent front with pencil. Lastly, identify of sample can be identified by comparing the RF sample to the standard.
Kitchen roll chromatography. Is the ink in the pen is really one color? Let's proceed. Introduction. Color inks are frequently made up of multiple inks. The water will carry each color of ink at a different distance, allowing you to see all of the different inks. Experiment with different colors to see what goes into them. This technique, known as chromatography, can be used in chemistry to determine what is an unknown mixture. The objective of chromatography is to find all the color component contained in an ink pen. The material that we need to use in this chromatography are felt tip pens, non-washable, highlighter pen, kitchen roll, a bowl or cup, and water. Procedure. Method 1. Take a sheet of a kitchen towel and draw a simple picture with a non-washable felt tip pen. Place the sheet over an empty bowl. Then, this is to keep the paper from getting too wet. Carefully add a few drops of water using your fingertips of a small paintbrush into the drawing. Once slightly damp, wash the picture on the kitchen roll for a few minutes and see what the different colors separate out. Repeat the experiment by using marker and watercolor. And second method, cut a long strip of kitchen roll. Draw a single colored dot with a non-washable felt tip pen about 2 until 3 cm from the bottom of the strip. Add a small amount of water to the bottom of a bowl. Carefully place the dot end of the strip into the water without submerging the dot in the water. The water level should be lower than the dot on the strip, and let the rays of the strip hang over the edge of the bowl. Watch as the water absorbs off the paper strip and through the color dot. See what happened to the ink. Repeat the experiment by using marker and watercolor.
Here's the result outcome.
Stationary phase and mobile phase for first result is yellow color at first because it weakly held with the stationary phase and travel faster with the mobile phase. Red color elute later because it's strongly held with the stationary phase and travels slower with the mobile phase. Next is stationary phase and mobile phase in second result. Yellow color elute first because it's weakly held with the stationary phase and travel faster with the mobile phase, while the green color elute later because it's strongly held with stationary phase and travels slower with the mobile phase.
Okay, for the discussion of the experiment, based on the result outcome, both in color orange and green got more than one component contained in the ink. Okay, for the orange ink, 3 color components were obtained, which is orange, yellow, and pink, while for the green ink, it's obtained 2 color components, which are green and yellow. Okay, the types of separation of those ink color is partition chromatography, which are liquid by liquid. Okay, partitioning is a distribution by dissolving of the components between 2 immiscible liquid phase, which are water and the ink color. The solute, which are the water, it dissolves in liquid phase coated on surface of solid support, which is the kitchen towel. Okay, a stationary phase immobilizes the liquid surface, making the liquid surface a stationary phase. Okay, components are separated and the mobile phase separated from the stationary phase. Where this partition coefficients influence the separation, thus the separation of 2 components in both ink color occurs. Okay, the conclusion of the experiment is the objective of the experiment was successfully achieved, where the ink pen has more than 1 color components was proven by the result outcome. Okay, the color component obtained for orange ink is yellow, pink, and orange, while for the green ink has yellow and green color.
For the conclusion, I will tell about the uses of chromatography in real life. Firstly, chromatography can be used in pharmaceutical, which is to determine the amount of chemical in your sample. Next, it also can be used in law enforcement, which is to compare samples found at a crime scene and samples from suspects. Next, it also can be used in manufacturing plant, which is to purify chemical needs to make product. Chromatography also can be used in environmental agency, which is to determine the level of pollutant in water supply. Lastly, chromatography can also be used in hospital, which is to detect blood or alcohol levels in a patient's bloodstream.
Here is our reference, and thank you.